Great. Great. Excuse me here while I just set up. I hope you don't mind. And let's begin. Okay. So just here we go. Okay, so greetings from Tokyo. This is Daisuke with another quick live stream, and I hope you are all doing well. If you're watching live, hello. If you are watching on the subsequent video upload, hello. And I hope you're doing very well. So I wanted to take the opportunity very quickly, and I was going to do it in a video, but I thought, what the heck? Why don't I ask it in a live stream format, and then I can go ahead and then receive comments later. Now, there's no hurry as far as deciding this particular matter that I'm going to bring up, which is, would you like to do more of the live stream discussions of specific films? You know, I called it the Film Club, and I did a number of those throughout last year. I wasn't able to do anything in December because I unfortunately had a little bit of a busy schedule. But I would like to start it up again, and assuming that there is interest. Now, what I consider to be interest is, it doesn't have to be a large number of people. It could be, and I would welcome that, of course, but it can also be a small number of people. I don't mind, but what I am just curious about is, would it be interesting for you to keep doing this? And if so, are you okay with, let's say, attending live streams and participating in the live chats or something like that? Or is it just worth it to maybe just have my pre-recorded one-way discussions on these particular films, as I'm used to doing? I do like the live chat format because it allows for, obviously, live input from everyone who is watching. And so far I haven't had any issue. It's just a matter of just really wanting to just double check to see if there's any interest. And so I think, and if there is interest, either way, or if you're not interested, either way, you can just either leave me a comment. You can leave a comment in the live stream, or you can leave a comment to this video after the fact. There's no particular hurry. I think what I'm also might be thinking about is, I would like to start to slowly get away from the Criterion Collection a little bit, in the sense that I did focus a lot of the, or I think all of the live streams on Criterion titles, which I think is fine because Criterion titles are very vast and very wide, as you know, in scope. But there are also many other films that are not currently in the Criterion Collection that I would love to talk about, and so it might be an interesting opportunity to try to venture out of the Criterion Collection from time to time. I mean, I love the Criterion Collection, don't get me wrong, but it would be nice to try to get out of that area, just a little bit even, with other films. But that doesn't have to be a permanent thing, of course. But if you're interested, please let me know. I am thinking about also just starting with one film that I would choose, and then maybe after that I would commence Oh, did I drop out? My phone said I had a bad connection, so I pushed the button there. Is that better? I hope that's better. I hope that's better. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Okay. There we go. There we go. So I'm sorry. I think I had a faulty connection there for a second. My phone froze, and so if the connection was faulty on your end, or it was a bad connection on your end, that's okay. Um, so I do want to get your input, if it's possible, as to whether we should continue with the live stream film discussions. I haven't had any issue with them in the past. It's just that it does take a little bit of preparation on my end, and I do have to set some time out, more so than normal for, because when I do video making, it's usually takes maybe about an hour, maybe an hour a bit. For special ones, it maybe takes more than an hour, but for the live streams, I'd have to put on top of that, set aside some time, which would probably be at least 2 hours, maybe more. And so, that usually would have to be in maybe either very, very late at night for me, or very, very early in the morning. That's because I wouldn't be able to do it when my kids are around, because I'd have other things that I have to take care of. So it would have to be early in the morning or late in the evening for me. So if I do decide to do it, I will let you know in advance, well in advance. But I might have to change the time, and because I think I did it on Sundays at 6 a.m. Tokyo time, which wasn't necessarily a problem for me, but it's I did start to feel a little bit of the wear and tear of that, as it were, as things progress. It was really fun to do, don't get me wrong, but I might have to pick another time and date that's a little bit more workable for me, but I will let you know in advance. So just I wanted to see if there was any response to that, and just go forward with that. And then before I go to the chat, I also want to remind, a gentle reminder, and I'll make some more comments about this maybe later in the month, but there still is the poll that I still have open, which is the asking you, viewers and friends, to vote for your favorite Criterion Collection cover art designs. And you can provide me up to 10 candidates, and I will count those, and at the end of that I will announce the poll results. And it's now the beginning of January, and I will keep the poll open until the very last day in February 2020. So you still have about a month and a half, or a little bit more. So please take a look at that. At the moment, I have, I think, a fairly good number so far. I think we're just shy, I think, of 60 people who have submitted votes so far. So I think that's pretty good. I don't know if it's possible. The last poll that I did here, which was asking people what their favorite Criterion films were, I was very impressed with the reaction, and I was so happy with the reaction. We got about 179 people participating in that, and so I was very happy with that. I don't know necessarily if we would be able to get the same number of people for the Criterion cover art design poll. I'm not sure about that, but at the very least, I would love to get at least maybe. I'd love to eclipse the number of people that we got last time, but I'm not sure if that's going to be a realistic goal. So in order to lower my expectations to a more realistic level, probably I'd like to say maybe let's see, we have almost 60 people now. So if we can get to around 100 or so by the end of this thing, then I think that would be a pretty good thing indeed. A lot of that's on me because I don't necessarily have the best acumen and skill. excuse me, I'm sorry. When it comes to promoting myself or self-promotion, but I'll try to promote it again on this channel and see what happens. But there's still also a lot of time, with the poll itself, and so you don't have to do it immediately. There's still you have until the end of February, so that's plenty of time. So it's not the case that you have to go out and rush immediately, but that is something to keep just to keep in mind. So anyway, that's just a little bit of what's going on here at the moment. So before I go further, let me just say hello to the people in the chat. So Alan, hello, Alan from Yonkers. It's nice to see you. Joshua Brunsting, hello, morning. How are you doing, my friend? Andre is here, hello. And Alan says, I think it's a great idea to do them live, meaning the film discussions, the film club live streams. Okay, great. I think expanding the discussion beyond the Criterion Collection is also a fine idea. Yes, I have been thinking about that for some time. The only concern, of course, is just trying to find the right type of film that would be fairly accessible to people without necessarily having to spend a lot of money buying a high-grade Blu-ray or something like that, as long as it's something that is fairly accessible. So we'll see about that. Yarne here's Pauls is here. Hello, I like the live discussions. You always have the points you want to make without being distracted, and then after your point, you check the live discussion and comment on it. Do what feels good. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. I appreciate that. All Things Film. Hello, my dear friend. Hello. How are you? Sexy Monkey. Hello. And Jay, how are you? So what's the topic today? The topic is just another discussion, but just asking for comment about would you like me to continue doing the live stream film club discussions or not? Alex Gia says, I enjoy both formats, live streams and uploaded videos. The live streams are great as it's enjoyable to interact with other cinephiles instantly and see their thoughts and personal recommendations. Okay, I think we can say definitively then that great. That's the comments here are enough for me. It's decided. Let's do it. So thank you so much. That's really great. That's wonderful encouragement. So I think what I'll do is I will get to work just figuring out when exactly I can do it. It's now the beginning of what's now the end of the second week in January already. I don't think we have enough time to start preparing for the end of January. So maybe we'll say maybe the first or second week in February or something like that. How's that? Maybe it can be a love theme, given that it might be Valentine's Day. Or maybe not, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't have to be a love theme. But okay, it's just between you and me, my friends who are here. It's decided. Thank you very much. Let's keep doing it. So I'll just have to change the date also, because it might not be good for me to do Sundays at 6 a.m. But maybe I might do maybe Friday night 11 p.m. or Saturday night 11 p.m. or something like that. I'll have to think about that and check my schedule, and I'll get back to you about that. But thank you very much to all of you who commented here so far. That's great. Sexy Monkey says, I received A Brighter Summer Day Criterion yesterday. Well done. Congratulations. I should have like a little something every time someone mentions A Brighter Summer Day, and I should do something. I don't know. I should think about that, because I think lately a lot of people have been mentioning A Brighter Summer Day to me very positively, And so I guess I'm really thrilled that you would consider me when you make a great purchase like A Brighter Summer Day. I'm very honored to have that association. So I cannot wait to hear your reactions to the film A Brighter Summer Day. It's it's very tempting to do A Brighter Summer Day as a live stream. That would be really tempting indeed. I know I've spoken about it in a video or a number of videos, right? It's been a while. It was what? I think it was 4 videos I did on A Brighter Summer Day. Man, gosh, talk about just going on and on. Man, but I guess you can't help it with that film because that film is just amazing. It's absolutely spellbinding, absolutely spellbinding. So, Sexy Monkey, I hope you enjoy it. Please let us know what you think about this wonderful film. And even if you don't like it, that's okay. It's okay not to like something, but give it a chance. I know it's long, so although it's highly recommended that you watch it in one sitting, if that's not feasible for you in your schedule, don't worry about it. Just do the best that you can with it. But I promise you that the time goes by like that. It just flies by, absolutely flies by. Anyway, I hope you enjoy. Thank you very much for letting me know. Endless Mike, hi Daisuke, you say. Hello, Endless Mike, how are you? Jay says, I enjoy your chats. Thank you very much, thank you. And Alex says, although I won't be able to view the live streams because of time differences. Yeah, that's the tough thing. I acknowledge that YouTube, I don't know if you know this, but YouTube provides me with what they call an analytics page on my YouTube channel that I can access because I am it is my channel. So I have if you have your own YouTube channel, you can access your own analytics, which is essentially data with respect to viewership and the like, and there's not a lot of personal detailed information about that, but it does give me information, for example, about who watches and in what geographic regions the viewers are. And I think about 50% of the viewers of this channel are located in the United States. And so that's a very large number. I'm very pleasantly surprised by that. But I do also acknowledge that there are a number of viewers, a significant number of viewers who are in Europe and also in the United Kingdom. And there are a number of viewers also in Japan, but the majority fall in North America and then in certain European territories, and then there's the United Kingdom. So I'm always very wary of the fact that perhaps I should try to time it more towards those regions. But at the same time, it's a little bit hard because I tend to be a little bit drowsy when it comes to being up late at night, and so sometimes I'm not operating on all thrusters, so to speak. But I will, and even if one cannot join the live stream live, the live stream chats will always be uploaded automatically. So, but I really have to apologize for not being able to better accommodate everyone's schedule more appropriately. I apologize for that. I'll do my best going forward this year. Let's see. Okay. Joshua says, as long as you enjoy doing them, I think they're quite good, so I enjoy them. But if the work-life balance gets offset, I'd understand drawing back on them. Yes, thank you very much for that concern. I think it really depends on the film, and so because there's a lot there, it's not a lot of preparation necessarily, but there is just some preparation that goes into these, and so but they're a lot of fun for me. But it's yeah, if it ever turns into something that is a little bit difficult for me in terms of time and preparation, I'll let everyone know. Maybe I'll just take a step back. But I think that kind of interaction is also very important, very key. I think the one thing I'm always worried about, because it is live, and so I always try to be extra careful because I don't want to. So in other words, I'm very much cognizant of the importance of trying to get as many details correct as possible. I don't want to. I don't necessarily want to discuss something without necessarily having a comfortable grasp on things. I'm not necessarily an expert level, but I don't want to get simple details wrong. And so, when you're doing a video and you're recording a video, and if you make a mistake with the particular line or something, you can always edit it out and finesse the video that way. But if you're doing it live, there are more opportunities for mistakes. And so I always try to prepare about that too much, and so I tend to over-prepare or overthink it. But that's something that I have to work on. But as of now, I think if the film is worth it, then it's certainly worth it. That's my approach, I suppose. But and Jay says, you're like me, a family man, and that is a great place, your family first before anything else. Yes, that's right. So that means, therefore, that I cannot do the live streams during kind of so-called regular hours here in Tokyo. So I'd have to do it when, just like this particular live stream is now, my family all are asleep, and so that's if they're awake, then I usually don't do any. I don't watch any films. How should I put it? The only films I watch when the family is awake are films that I consider to be family friendly or family appropriate. Anything else like horror films or anything, I never watch when the kids are awake. Never. I don't want that, and that also goes for doing YouTube videos, including live streams. I always make it a point to do these videos, for the most part anyway, when the kids are asleep and the family's asleep. So, so once they're asleep, then I have a little bit of time. But unfortunately, what that means also, and this is true for YouTube videos as well as live streams, is that it's just so sometimes I tend to get a little bit drowsy, and I don't like to drink coffee or anything like that in the evenings, because that means that I will never be able to go to sleep. But that also means that there's a trade-off, meaning that I can't necessarily pep myself up. It might be easier to do in the mornings, but I admit that lately, it's getting, maybe it's because of the winter months, I'm not sure, but it's getting a little bit harder for me to get very energized in the mornings. I can wake up, but I tend to feel a little bit just out of it still. So maybe if it's the summer months, maybe I'll feel better to do these live streams in the early morning, the wee morning hours, so to speak. But let's see. Again, I'll let you know with the about the schedule going forward. But once again, it is thanks to the people who are here already. It's decided we'll do live stream film discussions, probably starting around the first or second week in February. But I'll let you guys know as soon as possible. And the Cinematheque says, "Good evening, Daisuke. How are you this evening? Any plans for film viewing tonight?" Not sure. I don't have anything necessarily planned, although let's see, I don't know if I've mentioned this, but I guess I can show it now. I've posted this on Instagram, but I haven't mentioned this on YouTube. But oh gosh, something fell. I have this giant suitcase here. If you can see, it's a giant suitcase, and inside the suitcase are the Torasan films, the Otoko wa Tsuraiyo films. And so what I might end, this is one of the biggest collector's sets I've ever received. And it's a very heavy thing. It's about, according to Amazon Japan, this weighs about 15 kilograms, I think. It does feel heavy. So, and you open it up and it gets you have all these Blu-rays of Torasan. And I actually got this, and there's an Amazon Japan exclusive, which came with an Amazon limited DVD extra special features disc here, so along with this set. And so I haven't spoken about this here on this YouTube channel, about the Torasan films, but I might watch a Torasan film tonight as part of my little treat to myself, so to speak. But maybe one of these days I'll speak about them. I do know that I've received a number of comments from a number of people out there who have shown an interest in the Torasan films, have actually made comments to me about the Torasan films. And I should say that I haven't gone through all of the Blu-rays here yet, but let's see here. Oh gosh, this is a very heavy thing. So I suppose I can't, well, let me just back this up here. There we go. So I can't even fit it in the screen here. It's too big. You know, this is about the same height as my son. So and I would say it weighs the same as my son too. So it's kind of a very big set, and it opens like a suitcase. And it actually is a suitcase. It comes in a suitcase, and the suitcase is meant to represent one of the famous. It's sort of a replica of one of the famous props that the character of Torasan is very much known for. He has a kind of costume, and he has a suitcase, and this is supposed to be a replica of that. You sometimes get really neat collector sets like this. I'm not a big collector of these things. Maybe the closest thing I have as far as a collector set is like this is I don't know, there's the Arrow. That's pretty much all I have as far as special collector sets. I might have a couple more, but I don't usually go in for collective. Is maybe the Twin Peaks from Z to A. So this is the probably one of the few collector sets that I have, and it's the biggest collector set that I have. The reason why I decided to go for the collector set is because you can get the films individually, but there's something very magical about these films, at least how they resonate with me, and it's because they were particular favorites of my parents, and they, like, I have memories of them watching the VHS tapes, and I still have some of the VHS tapes of the Torasan films that they had, surprisingly enough. But the films work almost like they were almost playing in the background. That's how much they were played in my house when I was a kid growing up, because my parents really loved the films, and they were very funny, and it's a very long film series here in Japan, and it has a sort of a kind of unique, maybe not unique is the right term, but it has a certain type of humor that is very endearing, very warm-hearted, and also a kind of a very sort of typical Japanese humor. I don't know if that makes any sense, but these aren't films that are necessarily seen by a lot, like everyone in Japan necessarily. But I would dare say that they do represent a certain period of popular Japanese cinema entertainment during the Showa era, and they might not necessarily get a lot of ticket sales now, but they were, they were very popular in terms of film watching, and so it's good to see these films given a Blu-ray treatment like this for the first time. And so I'm sorry for the long-winded way of answering this question, but I might watch a Tora-san film tonight going forward. But yeah. And Arne Paul says, where do I find the poll? The poll is actually on a separate video. It's called What Are Your Viewer Poll? What are your favorite Criterion cover designs? And so I think you can, I set my YouTube page up so it's actually the centerpiece video whenever you go on my YouTube page. So you can, if you can't find it, just do a search on my YouTube page. It says, a Criterion cover art viewer poll or something like that. And I'm sure it'll come up. Alan says, I'd love some live stream discussion of Giallo films. I'm a Giallo geek. Wow, that's an interesting idea. Giallo. I would love to do a Giallo film discussion. That's a very interesting idea. I don't know if I'd be able to do it, but let me at least think about it, and I'll get back to you about that. That's a good idea. That is a very good idea. Asian movie enthusiast. I second Alan's Giallo discussion recommendation. Very interesting. Asian movie enthusiast, our dear friend. Hello, Eric. And Anita Bong hit 2.0. Whatever is best for you, Daisuke. I love all your videos. Well, you are too kind, my dear friend. Thank you so much. You're too kind. Thank you. You're very kind. Let's see. Sexy Monkey says, absolutely, regarding, I think, A Brighter Summer Day. You gave such glowing praise that I could not buy it. Thank you very much. I'm sorry about that. But it still is. A Brighter Summer Day is, I can safely say, my favorite Criterion Collection film. It's my favorite Criterion Collection film. If I had to make a number one, top 10 list, now it's still at the top of the list, A Brighter Summer Day. That is my favorite. And there are a lot of films that I really love that would fall on that favorites list still. I think I made a favorites list, I think, last year, and most of them would still hold. Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me would still go up there. Fellini's 8.5 would still be up there. Let's see, and A Brighter Summer Day would still be up there for sure. And Brighter Summer Day, no offense to Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, and no offense to 8.5, but gosh, yeah, A Brighter Summer Day is the film. It's the film for me, and it's so much so that lately I've been really trying to go through in my mind. I haven't mentioned this in a video yet, but I've been trying to think about it before making some concrete comments in a pre-recorded video. But I suppose I can make some preliminary comments now. But it could be a contender for my favorite, say, Vertigo, and then I say Late Spring by Ozu. But then now there's A Brighter Summer Day, and I think actually A Brighter Summer Day might be one of my favorite films ever. I'm not sure if it's my favorite film ever, but it's certainly up there. I mean, I can now say that I'm actually not sure what my favorite film is, because I think I love Vertigo so much, but I also love Late Spring so much, and now I can say I love A Brighter Summer Day so much so that it could be a contender for my favorite film ever, but we shall see. I'm usually not so good with deciding these things, but that's also not taking anything away from the film Vertigo. I really I really love that film. I I I don't mean to do this, but it tends to fall this way. I tend to watch that film at least once a month, actually, and some people think that that might be a bit too much, but I can never get enough of that film. Uh, so much so that I remember that uh, when it was first restored, and there was a huge one of the big deals, and I went to the theater to see it so many times, and it was enthralling, absolutely enthralling. Um, and I just devoured anything I could with respect to that film Vertigo, and I just watched it over and over again. And I remember I took a film studies class once in university, and one of the assignments that I got, very fortunate for me, was to talk about the mise en scène of a certain scene in Vertigo. And in fact, the scene in Vertigo that I was asked to comment upon was a scene early in the film where uh, it happens early in the film, so it's not like it's spoiling anything for anyone who hasn't seen it. But it's a particular key scene in the film where Scotty, the character played by James Stewart, not meets for the first time, but sees for the first time the woman named Madeline Elster, who's played by Kim Novak. And the way that he sees her for the first time is after he gets the story, the gist of the story from the husband, Gavin Elster, about Madeline and what the issue is with regard to these the presence of Carlotta and her and Madeline's trips to various places. Maybe she is possessed by Carlotta and all that background. Then Scotty goes to the restaurant called Ernie's in San Francisco, and he's sitting at the bar looking from a distance as Gavin Elster and Madeline Elster, played by Kim Novak, are just about to finish their meal at one of the tables, and then they get up to leave. And as they get up to leave, Madeline passes Scotty, not seemingly knowing that Scotty is looking at her. But the way that Scotty's looking at her is, in fact, the way in which we, the audience, look at her for the first time, because this is actually the first time that we see her in the film. We've heard about her for some considerable time, but this is the first time we see her. And it's so haunting and such an indelible, beautiful image of the emergence of Madeline in this. She's wearing a green dress, I think, and the background is sort of red, sort of red clothed hallways, and there are these confusions in terms of the way in which the hallways swerve back and forth. There's a confusion with mirrors. What is a mirror? What isn't a mirror? So there's a bit of a confusion there. There's also a great way in which Madeline's head turns to look back at Gavin, and it cuts with Scotty's head turning away so as not to draw attention to himself. So that the turning of the heads of these two main characters is sort of in sync. We see that in sync motion occur again in the middle of the film when Scotty meets Madeline in another key scene, which I won't get into now. But the point is that I had the great honor of being able to talk about this first scene in Ernie's for a film studies class that I took in university, and that was one of the most fun things I had the pleasure of doing in university. And it's just an example of how much I love that film Vertigo. I just I can never grow tired of that, and there are so many mysteries that even now that I don't even know the answer to, and I think that's great. There are so many things that just are not clear at all, and it has a lot to do with the psychology of the characters here. And the way in which the film, I don't want to get into too many details now, but the way in which the film draws itself out almost inexorably to its conclusion. It's a very suspenseful thing, but then it leaves one with a lot of questions about the psychology of the characters as they were progressing through the narrative at certain points of the film earlier. And so all these questions come up, and it's not so clear, but I think that's really one of the beauties of the film. There's layers of mystery that are almost, you can't even pierce them. It's very exciting. So let's see. Dan Moden is here. Hello, and you're saying about to watch Seven Samurai now for the first time. Exited? Oh, excited. Okay, excited or exited. I'm not sure. Maybe you have exited the chat to leave to watch Seven Samurai. Either way, my friend, if you've exited, that's good because that means you are now watching Seven Samurai. Or if you were excited, that's also good because you're about to watch Seven Samurai. Either way, my friend, well done. And I hope you enjoy the film Seven Samurai. That's another film, that I had the great pleasure and good fortune to have been able to see projected on a big screen in university. I'd seen the film many times before that, of course, but that was a great thing. It was one of the great film theater experiences of my life, seeing that projected it was a sort of a smallish auditorium in my university. The auditorium was called the Whitney Humanities Center, if I recall, and it wasn't a movie theater per se, but it had a screen, and you could close the windows, shut the windows in order to block out the light from the outside and such. And the crowd was a college crowd, so it wasn't necessarily a crowd that would, I don't want to be blunt or cast aspersions or anything like that, but it wasn't necessarily a crowd that I had initially expected would be in for this sort of thing. But I was pleasantly surprised that it was a packed crowd, and it wasn't necessarily the film studies crowd, but everyone was into it. It was everyone was in it for the long haul, and it was a really great thing to see, and by the end of it, people were cheering and clapping and gasping and just shouting and cheer, and it was amazing. It was an amazing, electrifying atmosphere in that theater, watching Seven Samurai, and it was so great. It was absolutely great. I enjoyed that so much. One of the great film theater experiences of my life, and I'll never forget. There's one particular moment, and again, I won't go into detail because I don't want to spoil it, since there are some of you, obviously Dan included, who are about to watch the film. But there's some particular moments in that film where I remember the audience just gasped. They were like, oh, it was. I still remember that moment. I couldn't believe what I was seeing on screen, and I couldn't believe the wonderful reaction that people were having around me as we were all in the theater, the darkened theater. We were all one, and we were watching this on screen unfold. It was great. One of the great movie-going experiences of my life. I've only been able to see Seven Samurai once like that projected on the screen, and I don't think I'll ever be able to see it again. But if I do, I'm not sure it'll top that wonderful experience I had watching that film when I was a university student many years ago. So, but anyway, let's see. Alan says, I received my long day journey into night, Kino Lorber. Oh, great. Frederic, hi Daisuke, just discovered your chain recently. I like it, you're a killer. Okay, thank you very much. Maybe channel, okay. So I just thank you very much. That's very kind of you, Frederick. I hope you're well. Thank you, and welcome. It's nice to meet you. Brendan Hughes, hello Daisuke. Good afternoon from the UK, my friend. I love your content and insight. You truly are a generous person and have a kind soul. Keep up the excellent work. Well, that's very kind of you. Thank you very much for saying so. Um, I'm I'm quite wow. That's very kind of you. Thank you very much. And um, in the UK, I wonder where in the UK you are. You know, I'm not in the UK anymore, but I have mentioned here on this channel that when I was a little kid, I used to live in, it was Guildford, Surrey at first, and then we later moved to Woking, Surrey, and we lived therefore in the UK in total for, I think it was about 3 or 4 years or something. I always forget the exact number, but it was around, yeah, it was 3 or 4 years that we lived in England, and at the time we were living in Surrey, Guildford first, and then Woking. Um, I don't know exactly where it is. Around that area, there's this huge park called Stoke Park that we would take our dog, who was a cane terrier, whose name was Maggie, and we would take Maggie to Stoke Park, as well as other parks in the vicinity. It was just a lovely time, absolutely lovely time. I haven't been back in the longest time, and so I don't know what is. I'm sure everything has changed. Um, you know, I have fond memories, although they are very, very hazy now because I didn't live. I haven't been there in such a long time, and I lived there when I was a little kid. So I have memories, that are kid memories, if you know what I mean. But I remember Sainsbury's. Maybe they still have those grocery stores there, and oh gosh, I remember I was fascinated by the Dime Bar, Dime Bars. I was fascinated by the Dime Bar commercials. There's that, and also was it the coffee commercials? There was those coffee commercials that were like the love story. It was like each coffee commercial was like Nescafe Gold or something like that, and each coffee commercial was like an episode in a love story. Will they or won't they get together, or that sort of thing. It was quite the thing, if I remember at the time. But is it Nescafe or I forget what the coffee brand was, but I remember. And also, I also remember very randomly. The other day I just remembered. Heck, I remember watching Top of the Pops on TV back in the late '80s, and then I remember, because I recall talking about Richard O'Brien in a past live stream. And Richard O'Brien, as some of you may know, is very famous for Rocky Horror Show and then Rocky Horror Picture Show. And one of the most popular songs from those works is the song Time Warp, the Time Warp. And then, I don't know if you know it, but that song was then covered by this artist named Damien. His stage name was Damien. I don't know what his real name was. It could have been Damien, I'm not sure, but it was Damien, and he covered the song The Time Warp in the late '80s as a kind of poppy dance beat sort of thing. I really like that song. It's really great. And I remember seeing Damien's performance of Time Warp on Top of the Pops, whenever it was, I don't know. And actually, if you go on YouTube and you search Damien Time Warp Top of the Pops, it'll come up. And I think that was the show that I actually saw. I mean, I don't remember exactly because it's such a long time ago, but I want to say that was probably the same show that I saw as a kid when it was being broadcast on TV way back when. So Damien Time Warp, what a great song. I don't know if he's done anything else, but anyway, I hope that you are well, Brendan, and thank you very much for your comment. And Dan Mona says hello from Sweden, by the way. Hello. I have a number of acquaintances that I had the great pleasure of meeting, through Facebook and and YouTube and the like. And also, actually, there's another acquaintance that I have who just moved to Sweden maybe last year. So she sent, she's a family friend, and then she sent us, the family, some Swedish chocolates. And so that was a very nice treat, very delicious, by the way. So wonderful. I've never been there myself. I should visit there one day, very soon, I hope. Let's see. Arne says, I had Brighter Summer Day on my wish list for so long, but it never got lower in price, UK version. Then I saw a new restoration of Taipei Story in Cinematheque and had to have more. Taipei Story is another masterwork. It is an earlier work by Edward Yang, and I have spoken about it here on this YouTube channel. So if you're interested, just go on this YouTube channel search engine and you can type in Taipei Story, Edward Yang, and I'm sure it'll come up. I spoke about it in the excuse me. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I have pardon me, excuse me. I spoke about it in the context of the Criterion Collection release of that film. It was released in the set called Martin Scorsese's World Cinema Project Number 2, one of the films in that set. It was really great to have that film, and it's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And for those of you who know Taiwan cinema, you'll probably recognize also that one of the main actors in that film is in fact the very famous filmmaker Hou Xiaoxian. So I hope you, it's unbelievable how fantastic that film is, Taipei Story. Let's see, Flat Earth Alaska. Hello, how are you? Wolfgrat says, hello, good afternoon. Sexy Monkey, I've never looked at those analytics and watch time, etc. A lot of people do YouTube for the numbers, but not me. Yeah, you know, the analytics, I think, are very interesting for me. You know, maybe one of these days I should let you, the viewers, know what the analytics show me. But you know, I think the videos that I've done over the course of whatever it is, the last 2 years or so, the videos I think that I've gotten the most views are, I did these videos called like the entire complete Criterion Collection, like 1 to 937 or something like that, because at the time that was all I had, because I did it a couple years ago. And they were my first actual long form videos on YouTube, and it was a kind of an experiment for me at the time. That kind of, I think, worked out well in the end, although there are things that if I were to do them now I would do completely differently. I'm a little bit embarrassed by them, to be perfectly honest, but I've divided it up into 4 parts or 5 parts, I forget exactly, but the first part is, I think, my most viewed video, I think. And then there's also a video I did, like, was it a tour of my Criterion Collection or something, where I have a video of shelves, and I think that's very popular as well. And then somewhere around that, like the top 5 most watched videos on my channel, is the video that I did on the film Salo, or the 120 Days of Sodom. I did a video about that. While I think I look back on it, and I think I would probably approach things a little bit differently, on the whole, I'm very proud of that video and the comments that I have, and I stand by the comments that I made in that video. But surprisingly, that is one of the most watched videos on this channel. So, and I'm very proud of that, because I think it's a very it's a difficult film. And there's a lot of curiosity, I think, rightly so, about that film from a lot of people, whether that curiosity be maybe based on, let's say, feelings of disgust or something else. Everything is legitimate, and so reasonable and legitimate. And so, you know, one doesn't have to like that film. One can loathe that film, and that wouldn't be a problem for me at all. But I do think still that the film Salo is a critical work, and it's much more It's much, much more than, I get it. I get all the stuff that people say when it comes up in conversation on like Facebook group pages and stuff. I get that, and I don't mind that at all. I think that's part of the point of the film Salo and what I think it's trying to get at. It is meant to disgust, and it's meant to be uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. It's not the grossest film in the world, of course. It's not the most violent film in the world, actually. A lot of that is just conjured up in the mind of the viewer, surprisingly enough. If you go through the film, if you're ever inclined to do so, if you go through the film and actually see what's being depicted versus what's being imagined, I think one can see, at least I think, that the horrors that are imagined are far outweigh what's being depicted actually on screen. And in fact, what's being depicted actually on screen, how it's shown and how it's edited together, in fact, is, I would suggest, actually pretty tame when compared to other more shock value films from, let's say, more modern day. And that's not to say that the film Salo is any less effective. It's still very, very effective, and it has a point. It has many points that I think it's wanting to make. And I think it, in many ways, and I get a sense of this from the Pasolini discussions that are provided on the Criterion Disc and on other resources. But my sense of and I'm purely speculating here, but it feels like Pasolini almost wanted to make a kind of anti-film. And I mean that in a way of saying, film that one watches and doesn't get any enjoyment. He almost wanted to make a film that was I mean this in a very positive way, but it almost feels like it's like he's basically thumbing his nose at kind of establishment thinking in many ways, and so deserves as much attention as it can get. And so I'm very proud of the video that I did, and also I'm happily surprised that it's getting the attention that it seems to be getting on this YouTube channel even now. So there's that. But yeah, the analytics on YouTube are very interesting. I think the numbers. What are the numbers? The numbers that are. Let's see. Well, yeah, the numbers that are most interesting to me are, as I say, what videos get the most views, and I think usually what that means is it might be better on the one hand for me to try to tailor my channel towards videos that are like those videos that get the most views on this channel, like I am trying to complete my 937 or whatever now. We're over Spline 1000, and so I think I should complete that. And I plan to do so one of these days. I actually wanted to do so in December, but time didn't permit me to do so. But so my point is that I think on the one hand, it would be very smart of me to try to make more videos that are tailored to those videos that are getting a lot of the hits, well, at least according to the analytics page. But at the same time, it's like I'm very fortunate in the sense that I don't have to. I'm very, very lucky in the sense that I don't necessarily have to rely on this YouTube thing as a primary source of like income or anything like that. So that means that I don't have to worry about if I think about what video that I want to make, I don't necessarily have to worry about is it going to get a lot of views or not. And that's not to say that that kind of thinking is bad. I completely get and admire and appreciate YouTube people out there who use this platform in a very effective way, financially speaking, and you can generate a lot of income that way. And I get that, and I think that's a really wonderful way, and it's smart, very smart. So there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's what is available to us. These are tools that are available to us. So more power to you if you're able to capitalize on that to the greatest effect. But for me, I guess I'm just very fortunate and lucky in the sense that I don't necessarily have to worry about a video, you know, is it going to get whatever next number of views or not. So, and also it's funny because the videos that I do, uh, not always, but every once in a while, I'll get comments from people who are watching videos that I did way back, and so it's an interesting little phenomenon that I just kind of notice is that they don't necessarily they're not necessarily time linked. Some of them are, but not all of them, and so it's interesting to see how people respond to a video that I might have done like 2 years ago. And to be perfectly honest, I won't necessarily remember immediately what I said in a video that I did 2 years ago, but I'll read a comment about that and I'll try to remember what it was that I said, and then there's that. So I'm very fortunate. But at the same time, you know, I think it's very interesting to see what it is that people are interested in more than other things, and so. But you know, as far as your YouTube channel, you do what you want to do, and if a lot of people watch, that's great. If not, you're still doing what it is you want to do. So there is much worth and merit in that, my friend, Sexy Monkey. So good for you, my friend. Good for you. Let's see. So, all right. I am, all right, let's see here. Oh, Erwin Retamales, I hope I got that pronounced correct. Greetings from Chile. Hello, Erwin, I hope you're doing well. All right, I'm going to, oh, Malachite is here. Hello, my friend Malachite, I hope you're well. Incidentally, I think A Hidden Life will be released in Japan. It's either this month or next month. It's A Hidden Life, right? So I hope I got that title right. I'm usually pretty poor when it comes to new releases, but okay. So, all right. Oh, A Touch of Film is here. Hello. Carl Reese is here, says, didn't like Vertigo much when I saw it as a kid, but years later through adult eyes, and it's one of my favorite Hitchcock films. It's interesting. Very interesting. Arne Paul says, speaking of Taiwan cinema, do you have a good entryway non-film to get more information on it or individual people? There are some books and articles. Would like to know if something comes to your mind. Non-film. There are a couple of titles. If you want, you just maybe you can contact me directly. I might provide you with a couple titles. They're not the best. They're not the most in-depth things in the world necessarily, but they are, I think, good starting points. So maybe if you want. And there, as far as films are concerned, there's, I think it's the documentary on the A Brighter Summer Day disc. The Criterion disc is a really good primer for a new, what's called New Taiwan Cinema, but it only goes up to a certain point of time. I think the end of the 80s, and it doesn't go into the 90s and beyond. And so it's not necessarily a complete picture of new Taiwanese cinemas, but it really goes into that first and in many ways the most eventful and perhaps even turbulent period of that place as well. It is a film, but it's very worth taking a look. And then also there's the great Tony Raines commentary, which is available as the audio commentary track to the Criterion release of A Brighter Summer Day. He knows his stuff, so I would recommend that as well. Again, as if anything, also starting off points for your own further study and research, of course. Okay, so Touch of Film says a happy New Year, everyone. So Touch of Film is one of the best YouTube channels ever. It's one of the best YouTube channels ever. I love A Touch of Film. I love A Touch of Film. Let's see, and Wolfgrat says Scotty should have stayed with Barbara Geddes. I remember advising him that on the first watch you can help some people. Yeah. Well, what was it? You know, I don't think Mozart's going to help at all. And yeah, what was it? The radical new design of the brazier, based on the cantilever bridge, I think it was. But David's here. Hello. So Vertigo, amazing. Yes. You know, I'm glad that there is a Vertigo appreciation there. It's, you know, my sense is that it's like it's maybe, you know, there's the BFI Sight and Sound poll, you know, the 2012 poll where Vertigo was chosen by the critics as #1. My sense, I don't know if that's going to hold for 2022, to be perfectly honest. I wish it would, but I don't know if it's going to hold. Still, I remember just loving that film, even as a kid, before the restoration, and when it was on that VHS tape with that lovely pale blue cover. And so, you know, if you want to know more about the Hitchcock variants and on VHS Laserdisc, you should also check out a dear friend, Damn Fool Idealistic Crusader, his YouTube channel. He does great work. So he has a great, he did a great live stream about Hitchcock home media releases, including Vertigo. So, but I remember seeing that as a VHS rental way back in the day, and I just watched it over and over again, and just was utterly impressed. Didn't know what was going on for a lot of the movie, I admit, when I was a kid watching it, but just still utterly impressed. Let's see. DJ Sirius is here. Hello. That scene in Vertigo is wonderful, amazing colors. So maybe the scene that I was referring to, Scotty sees Madeline for the first time in Ernie's. Yes, yes. Yes, Sexy Monkey says, Paul Verhoeven says he frequently watches Vertigo to remind himself just how great cinema can be. Wow, that is wonderful. And you know, Paul Verhoeven, I'm a great admirer of his works. I haven't spoken about Paul Verhoeven at all, actually, on this channel, but I'm a great admirer of Paul Verhoeven. I know some of his later works, I think, tend to eclipse maybe his earlier work, and I have a lot of admiration for his later works as well. But maybe one of these days I should talk about Paul Verhoeven. But that's an interesting point. Very interesting point. Okay. Let's see here. Dungeon Studios here. Hello. Pete 1972 is here. Hello. And Erwin asks, do you play video games? No, I don't play video games now. When I was younger, I played more video games. You know, when I was younger, I had, what is it? I was a Nintendo person, so it was the Super Nintendo and all that. So, but nothing beyond Super Nintendo for me. My 8-year-old now has a Nintendo Switch, and so I play games with her on the Nintendo Switch, but not often, just once in a while. Her favorite game on that, at the moment anyway, is Mario Kart. I love that game too. It's very fun, but it's a little bit difficult for me to control. My daughter's much better at it than I am, although I am getting a little bit better, I do admit. Let's see here. Pete 1972 says, sometimes when a film disturbs you, it's hard at first to judge the film fairly and objectively. Yes, I agree 100% with that. That is great. Over time, it's much easier to appreciate an uncomfortable film. Yes, I agree with that too. Those are excellent points. Excellent points, my friend. Sexy Monkey says, speaking of most viewed videos, my highest viewed is Raylan Joy and Appreciation. Oh, interesting. Very interesting. Wow. Wow. Alteron Kaiju's here. Hello, how are you? Um, and Stephen Jones is here. Greeting from Texas. I go, Texas. It's great. You know, I only had I had the great pleasure and good fortune to visit Texas, but only once in my life. I visited, what was it, Houston, and then San Antonio. That's about it. So I didn't get a chance to visit Dallas. I wanted to go to Dallas, but I couldn't. I didn't have the time. But I'd love to go visit again one day. But welcome to here, and I hope you're well, Stephen. Thank you very much for joining. Um, let's see here. I'm skipping around for. I'm skipping the comments, some comments here. So oh, Alteron Kaiju is also from San Antonio. Oh, wow, wow, interesting, interesting. So I'm skipping around the comments here. So if I've skipped your question or comment, I apologize. I'm actually going to start to get going soon because it is um, it is almost midnight here, and so Alan says, Daisuke, come to New York so we can have a good meal and discuss cinema for many hours. Wow. Oh, gosh. So can I take you up on that, Alan? Really, I mean that. Can I take you up on that? Because I love, I've visited New York many, many times. I love New York very much. You know, it's not there anymore, but when I was living in New York for a little bit, I used to go weekly. I went weekly to the video store. I don't know if you're aware of the film. It's not there anymore, but it's called Kim's Video. Do you remember Kim's? Anyone in New York? Do you remember Kim's Video? That was like the place to go, and there's so many, and the people who worked there were so nice. I was they were very friendly, and they recognized me, and some of them did when I walked in, and they were talking, and it was such a lovely atmosphere. You go into the first floor, there was the CDs, and you go up to the second floor, and you'd have all the rentals, and I think you went up one more floor to go to the, or I forget, what was it? I forget, what was the second floor or third floor? I forget, but it was the second floor and third floor. One was the you could purchase DVDs, and then the other floor you could rent their selection. I love that store very much. It's not there anymore, unfortunately, but that was the place to go for me in New York. I love that. Let's see. Okay. Erwin says, what's your opinion about Netflix, Amazon, Movie, or even Criterion Channel? You know, I don't have that strong experience with streaming. There's this on my daughter's iPad, we have Disney Deluxe, which is kind of like the Disney app here in Japan. It's not quite the same as it is in North America. For instance, we don't get, for instance, The Mandalorian, so I can't watch that here, but we can get other Star Wars films, some Marvel films, but my daughter uses it to watch Disney cartoons and the like, and so that's really good. But I had Netflix for like a trial period, and I got that because I wanted to watch The Irishman, and so I did, and I really got a kick out of that. And I watched some other films on Netflix, but I admit I wasn't really that keen on it, at least for now, and so that trial period for me is over, and I don't have Netflix at the moment. Maybe I'll return to it one of these days, but I also have Amazon Prime, but I don't watch it very much. I was trying to watch a film on Amazon Prime here in Japan. What was it? It was one of the film versions of And Then There Were None, but for some reason I just couldn't get through it. It was a little bit difficult for me. Maybe I should try to get a better screen or something like that. But I admit there's some films that I watch streaming when I'm on the road, but it's not something that I personally am 100% fully familiar with yet. And so I'm still my flag is firmly planted in the physical media camp, so to speak. But I have nothing against streaming per se. I have nothing against that at all, and I admire its accessibility, its relative low cost, etc., and especially the Criterion Channel as well. I don't have the Criterion Channel subscription, but I respect it very much because it makes the Criterion titles that are in physical media and so many more films available at a relatively cheap price. And I think the most important thing is accessibility, availability, and the like. And if it means doing that with streaming, then more power to you, my friends. But at the same time, there are certain issues with streaming still that I think are quite significant in terms of catalog availability, in terms of because if streaming becomes the norm, then the streaming catalog becomes the canon. And so if that becomes the canon, then really streaming catalogs really are up to films can be added or released on the whim of a business decision, and I'm not sure. And at the same time, that's not necessarily different than the current case right now with Blu-rays and the like, because as you know also, Blu-rays and what to release on a Blu-ray is ultimately to a business decision, right? A company makes a business decision to decide whether or not to get the license in order to make and release this particular film on Blu-ray, that sort of thing. So I understand that. Everything is a business decision, but there is something of an interesting dynamic when it comes to streaming and availability, and it goes both ways. But I don't want to get into that too much, but that's still another way for me to say that I still haven't quite fully thought through all the issues when it comes to streaming it. I'm still baby steps in terms of my own approach. But a good question, though. Very good question. Okay, I think I'm gonna be going now. I'm sorry, it's already approaching midnight. So I'm sorry if I didn't answer your question. If I didn't, once again, I apologize. I hope you can forgive me. And let's see, I am, let's see here. Okay, so I am just gonna head off right now. So thank you very much for joining me, my friends. It's been fun as always. And once again, I apologize for not announcing these. I will start or recommence with the live stream film club discussions, and I will make an announcement as soon as I can here on YouTube on this channel. So please stay tuned for more details as they come. So otherwise, my friends, thank you very much, and please continue to watch a lot of great movies, and please take good care of yourselves. Thank you, and cheers. All right, thank you very much, my friends. Sorry about that, but it is getting late, and I'm gonna be, I do want to watch a film, or at least part of a film, at least before I go to sleep. So, okay, my friends, thank you again, and I will see you very soon. So take good care of yourselves and have a great rest of your day. Cheers.